talk to him.
Today we're answering your community questions with WWE 2K24 and WWE in general. Let's kick it off here with Fred Bucks WWE, who says, do you see the Punjabi prison match ever making its debut in the 2K series or a fight pit match? Personally, no. I don't think that they'll bring those back unless WWE starts bringing those ones back, brother. If they're not on WWE programming, then chances are they're not going to be leveraged in future games. Also, it's done between, I believe, between WWE and 2K to see what they want in the game. So Punjabi prison matches haven't been a thing in WWE forever. Fight pit matches, I know we had the NXT ones and we had like the Rollins, Matt Riddle one, but they haven't done it since then. Fight pit would be cool, don't get me wrong, but it's basically just a cage match with a little bit of a ledge there to use. So I don't see them coming back, to be honest. Calvin says, will online servers ever be fixed? Ever. The game's been out for 7 days, Calvin. No, I'm kidding. Tired of having matches replaced with AIs? Yes, to both. No, I think online servers will get fixed. I think that because the full launch of the game came out on Friday, that we already got a patch on Friday that came out. I think that you probably will see more bug fixes coming out, things addressing online. There were issues with like the DLC, like the pre-order bonus stuff, the Nightmare Family Pack, that not loading for players. I've heard a lot of problems on PC for people, and save slot stuff, like just a lot of things like that, which is terrible. So my answer is yes, I think they will fix it. How long it takes? It's probably high on the priority where they got to go through this list of main things addressing like the DLC not loading, the PC problems, things like it's crashing, and the online servers too. I think that they will get more stable. That's my thoughts. James Hooker 9595, with the DLC pack 3 not getting completely revealed yet, what superstars or guests could be in the pack along with Pat McAfee? So DLC number 3 is the only one that we don't know about, right? It's got Pat McAfee and friends or guest co-hosts. They haven't defined what that is, which I find very odd. It's a DLC pack, we paid for it. I feel like I should know what the heck is in that thing at release, like everything else. So I wonder if it's a thing of like they haven't totally figured out what they want to include in there. My guess is we're gonna get 5 wrestlers in total. They might do something where it's like a Pat McAfee co-host like he has on his podcast might be a slot as like a manager or something. But that I find so odd because they've never really appeared on WWE programming. They're not involved. So, and I think it's just, I feel like that stuff, that's a waste of slots when you could be getting current stars, NXT, legends. You could be getting a lot of different options in there to include different wrestlers. What they might do is, if it's a co-host thing they're branding it as, it could be like Corey Graves, Michael Cole, bringing in some of those people to be playable in the game. But even then, I'm kind of gonna go, that pack would be disappointing because it's just not enough depth. I wish they would do more, or I wish they would just come out and be like, here's Pat McAfee leading this thing. We're calling it Pat McAfee and Friends, but you're gonna get NXT stars and a few other people. I don't know who else they could give us. If it was like co-hosts or people that use like a microphone and interview type of thing, I don't even really know, guys. I would probably say, like I said, Corey Graves, Michael Cole. You could put in like Alexis King for NXT. I don't know, it doesn't really fit, but I hope it's not just like Pat and a bunch of his friends from his show. The Game 08 says, what are plans for Owens and Bianca for WrestleMania? Good. General WWE questions. That's a very good question. Owens? I think right now, because of what I saw on SmackDown, he's got like things with Logan Paul, and he's got Randy Orton in there, and LA Knight is mixing it up too, and there's a lot of different people shaking up in that mid-card US title spot. I think that what they could do, and the Intercontinental title might do this too. I think with the US title, it's either like a LA Knight Logan Paul one-on-one match. That's what I would want. But I can also see with so many people that are big names in the mid-card area, they'd start making a multi-man match for the United States Championship. It could be a ladder match. I kind of have that pegged for the Intercontinental title as a ladder match, multi-man. But I like to see maybe a multi-man where it's Owens involved, Owens, Orton, AJ, LA Knight, Logan Paul for the US title. It's some kind of multi-man match. Do a gauntlet. Do it that way. That's what I want to see. For Bianca, same thing. I kind of think that Bianca will do maybe an open challenge. And that's where you get Jade Cargill to debut at WrestleMania, which would be a huge spot. And they could have like a 8-minute match and Jade goes over on Bianca. It's a singles win. It's a way to introduce her, and they could actually kickstart a feud between the two of them if they wanted to. Or I would say Kabuki Warriors versus Bianca and Jade, because they've been teasing Jade signing, like she signed on SmackDown, but they haven't done anything with her yet. So I think that she needs to show up at WrestleMania. Huge in-ring debut. We had her at the Rumble, but a real match. If you put her in a tag, it also protects her too if they want to do that. Ket Chopper, or Ketch Hopper, or Chopper, either way. Do you think a traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5, Raw versus SmackDown, or even 5-on-5-on-5 with NXT is going to be in WWE 2K25? I don't think that they will give you a 15-man match. It's not possible. What I think they could do is the traditional 5v5. I think we could get that for 25. It'd be kind of nice. But I think they would do that if we were moved over to current gen consoles and they finally said goodbye to PS4 and Xbox One. They need to do that, I think, in order to get the horsepower. That's what I would guess. I'm sure they could do it now, but would it fall apart on like the PS4? Is it just not manageable? I personally really want 5-on-5. I want 10 wrestlers in the ring, not 8. I think that's where we need to go. I think 2K25 is the best shot of us getting that, but a 15-man match? No. Brenton Young says, do you think that WWE would patch in Evolution theme song and entrance motions and Titantrons for 24? Very possible. I've reached out to the devs. I don't have an answer. I want it. I want that and DX working. DX has the Titantron. It's all mixed in there. Like DX has the Trons, Triple H's motion, Shawn Michaels motion, not there. But we had Shawn Michaels last year. There was HBK 97 with the DX music. Like they patched that in after the fact. So, and the tag team DX entrance is not there. I know we're asking about Evolution, but it's kind of the same thing. Evolution's entrance motion is there, but the Trons and the music are not. Could they put it in there? Yeah, they should. I don't get the problem here. And it's something that fans, I think, have been requesting. At least I have. I've asked incessantly, like an idiot. I've been wanting Evolution completely packaged in there. And you think that with like the 40 years of Mania, they would try to do that. Just give us that theme song and the DX stuff and the Evolution Trons. I don't know if it's that hard, but I hope that they could patch it in, and I hope it's something that they're looking at. MJ Parrish says, will we get Saturday PLEs in Universe Mode? This is a big conundrum, isn't it? So one of my biggest critiques for Universe Mode this year is, number one, a little bit of lack of depth, because it feels like 2K23, just with a little bit of polish and added cutscenes and refresh cutscenes. Like, and those things are really good. The cutscenes, they did update those, but it's kind of missing, like, it's just starting to feel a little bit old. Like, been there, done that, and it's not bringing anything tremendously new. So one of the other things that is a critique of mine is that PLEs are wrong. They're put on Sundays. They didn't change the calendar and update it, and they're not on Saturdays. It is very possible that they update this and they patch this year. However, how big of an undertaking that is, I don't know. To me, it shouldn't be too hard to just make PLEs the default on Saturdays. I know that probably rejigs their whole calendar system entirely, but I think it's necessary. If you can't do anything else with Universe Mode this year, aside from like stability fixes, that is one thing I would hope the team could try to look at and push through if it doesn't break things on Universe Mode. I think Universe Mode is one of those modes that has been around for so long, and that it is kind of a duct tape scenario and patching scenario where, like, if you do one thing, it breaks another thing. I don't know for sure, but it does seem that way because we haven't had crazy overhauls and improvements to this. It's all working with like what already exists. Now, PLEs already exist and they work on Sundays. I really hope that they can try their best this year in the next month, 2 months, to say, hey, we switched, we updated the calendar, we got bug fixes out there, and the PLEs are running on Saturdays, or just open it up so that you can create a PLE on Saturday. Just add it. We have major and minor shows on Saturday calendar. I would say, MJ Parrish, add in the other option of just say, okay, do you want to just create a PLE? We can create custom shows, but that just creates a custom show. I want the PLE. So just give us a drop down for PLEs on Saturday. Alex Valexes says, would there be a story designer in 25? Unless it's something they've been, I huff because I'm like, unless it's something they've been working on for the last few years. It's not something that I think they could turn around in 12 months or 8 months and say, here's a story designer. Do I want it in 25? Absolutely. And the way Universe Mode has been now for the last 3 games, it hasn't received this huge change. It hasn't gotten overhauled. It's largely the same. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just missing, like, we don't have promos. The calendars are wrong. It doesn't have that hook anymore for me of like, oh, I can't wait to go in and set up my shows and my universe. Story designer, the more I think of it, has more attractive pieces. And to be able to then hopefully one day be able to get that and then like upload, download stories in community creations. I think that's the direction they need to go. Would we get story designer in 25? If it's been worked on, possibly. But if there's no whispers of it, I don't see it happening for quite some time. They probably are looking at it to say, is this feasible? But I think that's a much longer, larger project than just 8 months turnaround, here's a story designer, unless it's bare bones. And I think eventually, the last thing I'll say on this story designer universe, I think if I had it my way, I would beef up my GM completely, take the elements like cutscenes and customization of universe, put it into my GM, max that system out, because it's a newer game mode, my GM is, get rid of universe mode at that point, and introduce story designer. So then fans that want the management, the customization, it's all housed in that my GM mode and call it something new, and then bring in story designer for people that want to have that customization, that fun story element, and go wild. That's what I would do. Brecken Kelderman says, when does the 40 Years WrestleMania pack release? I wanted to touch on this because this question comes up quite a bit. And even I had wondered, like, I saw screenshots of 2K posting the Triple H attire, the WrestleMania 30 with the skull and all that stuff, and it looks super cool. And I assumed that when it was launched, early access and the regular launch, that would have come out, and it hasn't. And I even looked on 2K's website, it doesn't say when it's coming out. I think there are rumors of it, like the 40 Years WrestleMania 40 arena dropping sometime after WrestleMania, but that's just a rumor. We don't know, and same with the attires. They have not listed the dates. They say dates are subject to change. So we actually don't know when the 40 years of WrestleMania content is gonna come out. What I would think here, Brecken, is let's look at when it's WrestleMania weekend. I would imagine they will try to give an update then, because that would totally make sense from a marketing side. The 40 Years of Mania pack, WrestleMania 40, good way to keep fans going with the game being a month away from its release. I would say look at WrestleMania as when we could see it drop, but I don't know if it's even going to drop as like a whole singular pack, or are they going to drip feed it? Like, are they going to release Macho King, and then they're going to release Charlotte, and then they're going to release Triple H week by week? I don't know what they're going to do with this. Same with the WrestleMania 40 arena. We don't know when it's coming out, so it's actually a TBD. Aaron Banks says, how do you feel about some people wanting the series to go live service? Feel like they will be dipping a toe in this year with my faction. I prefer community creations. I think if they go live service, they would delete CC or strip it down a lot. I would prefer to keep my DC and Marvel Universe mode. Fair enough. I don't see it going that way. Part of me wants it. And I think you are correct that it almost feels like dipping their toe with my faction. And especially this year with Persona cards and being able to grind and then get Sheamus and Seth Rollins Shield version and those models and play them. That does feel like dipping your toe into it. Do I think they go full out and like delete creation? No. I think community creations is embedded. I think that the devs and everyone, they like community creations. They love the community that's there, the creation suite. It's fantastic. It's like the deepest thing they have going for the game and the franchise is that creation suite. So no, I don't think that would be up and gone. Or even stripped down. I do see them building off of my faction and saying, okay, let's up it now, and maybe next year it's even more Persona cards, and they tweak it more of like what worked, what didn't this year, which we'll learn as we go. Then maybe they start doing things like arenas and saying, okay, now you can grind and get an arena, now you can grind and get actual managers. They could just do more and more and more to add into it, and that would give it the live service element that we're talking about. Hearts Ria says, what are your overall thoughts on the new match types and the constant button mashing? Okay, button mashing? Not a fan. Now I can change it. I don't have to button mash. I can change the controls if I want to. Not a crazy fan. However, I have gone in and I have tweaked my sliders. I got a basic tutorial on slider adjustments. If you guys want to learn the basics, just cheap plug, check out the channel for that video. So I've changed the sliders for like submissions, and now I don't have a problem because I've adjusted it lower, like 40 down to like 40%, and so my submission game is easier, even on a higher difficulty. It's reasonable now. When it comes to the new match types, overall thoughts, I think they're a win. And they range for me though, because special ref and gauntlet matches, yay, those are my two favorites. And then it's like ambulance match and then casket match. Casket and ambulance are very much the same, where it's a submission game, button mashing. and doing the same thing. Casket I feel is even less because it's just literally like, it's just a no DQ match and then throw them in the box and that's it. Ambulance I say has got a little bit more because I can climb the ambulance, I can throw them off the ambulance, so it's got a little bit more dynamic in there, and I feel like there's like, it gets a little bit more hardcore in an ambulance match. Plus you can do the ambulance backstage. So I love the new match types. I love that they gave us 4. I was expecting 1 and they gave us 4, and Gauntlet is even bigger where it has like 3 variations of it, so I'm pretty happy with it. Gate series, where would you rank the game and its modes out of 10? Thanks for all you're doing, love your channel. Well, thanks for watching. The game, if I had to rank it out of 10, I'd probably say it's like an 8.5 for me personally. I think it's very good. I think all the quality of life pieces are refreshing. They've done a lot to improve. There are bugs that are still out there right now in the first couple of days, and I think a lot of stuff is going to get addressed. I think that they are working extra hard this year to address those problems, and they're gonna get that really cleaned up pretty early on. So I'm excited for where the game's even gonna be in a couple of months. But yeah, I'd say 8 to 8.5 out of 10. The match types are great. Having 4 new ones is really refreshing. Universe mode I feel is kind of a letdown. Showcase mode I'm very mixed on. Like, I'm gonna deep dive showcase mode a little bit more. I finished it, and a lot of people are like, I hate it, or I think it's good to fine. And I'm kind of in there too, where I'm like, I'm kind of mixed on it, but what do you guys think? Wrestle Story and TV says, what match types do you believe could possibly be added for next year's game? We're already talking about 2K24. It's ridiculous. I like to see an Iron Survivor from NXT make it in. So would I. And I think that's very possible. And the reason why is because we have all these different versions of Gauntlet match. And one of them is like basic, like the Eliminator. I forget which one it is, but they're basically an Iron Survivor match. Because you can set I can set a clock, I can have a 60-minute match, I can have, or can I set the match? I don't know. I can't remember if I can set a time limit or not, but I can do the eliminations. Obviously, you can have up to 8 people in the ring. So there are so many elements of Iron Survivor mixed into the Gauntlet match that we got. If WWE does another Iron Survivor this year, like with NXT, then that would be what, our 3rd one or 4th one where we'd have Iron Survivor on WWE programming. So at that point, it's up to WWE, I think, of like, hey, we need to put this in the game, or 2K is like, we want to put this in because we've done it a couple of years. If it becomes a staple like it has with NXT, I totally see it. What I would see them doing though, is because it would be something brand new to introduce, I would fear that they would just have it locked to like an NXT arena. Kind of like War Games, where they're like, you can do it on the NXT show, but we can't do Iron Survivor elsewhere because of the penalty box and all this. But you can get around that, honestly. You could just not do the penalty box and have a guy roll out and just disappear for 2 minutes and then come back in. That would be the one brand new mode I can see them doing if they nailed it and made it available across, you know, all of your shows. Then that would be the big hook and big advertising for next year is NXT Iron Survivor. Manic says, who's your favorite wrestler from the Attitude Era? Probably Stone Cold or Triple H. Just, that's what I grew up with. I grew up in the Attitude Era. I loved it. And Triple H is probably right up there with Stone Cold. They're both like neck and neck. Manuel's Garrett says, are you going to let your fans know that they can download Brock Lesnar from Community Creations? You can download Brock Lesnar from Community Creations. Is that good? No, Witty the G is one of the creators. He's posted a couple of Brock Lesnar. So if you guys want to download that, go check out Witty the G. Status. Anybody else is doing awesome creations out there. Icons of the Ring, they do awesome work too. But for like the Brock Lesnar's, I think Witty the G posted like 2 different versions, and they're the in-game models if you want to do that, because he's only available in Showcase right now. Jacob Banak says, who do you think will stop Roman in 2024 or 25 if it's not Cody? The Rock. If Cody loses at WrestleMania, I think Roman holds the belt, beats Hogan's record title reign, and then goes all the way to the WrestleMania 41 where he goes up against The Rock, and then The Rock beats him. That's the only other person. No one else makes sense. Maybe if they do, maybe if Braun Breaker explodes and is like super babyface, but they have built this freaking Cody story for 2 years. It's gonna get to be enough where the fans are gonna eventually be like, okay, you gotta pull the trigger here, or else this is getting really, really silly. I don't see anybody else beating them. I'm more interested in Cody winning and then seeing what challengers come out of it. And I don't want Cody to have the belt for 2 years or 3. I want Cody to have the belt for like maybe a year, or lose it at SummerSlam and regain it again. And I like to see people fighting over the belts, but they might do that more with the world title. Thanks so much for dropping in your questions for Match Chat this week, guys. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.